All right, well, hello and welcome to Association's Trends Talk. I'm Paul Hanscom, Chief Growth Officer here at Ewald Consulting. Today we're talking with two guests who are at the leading edge of artificial intelligence for associations. Now, if you're like me, you're seeing content left and right about the very basics of generative AI or a bunch of speculation about its long-term impact. There are very few real-world examples of how AI is being practically applied in associations to make a difference for members in the profession. So when I heard about what Anna's working on with her organization and Rick with his, the value that they're creating through AI to offer next level value for their members, I was really intrigued and wanted to bring them together for this conversation. So let's meet our guests. Joining us are Anna Eaton, Marketing Specialist with the Marine Retailers Association of the Americas, and Rick Harris, CEO of the Association of Proposal Management Professionals. Anna led the team at MRAA to create AMI, or AI for Marine Industry Education. Her team's work developing AMI earned MRAA the 2023 Neptune Award for Best Use of AI. So congratulations, Amy, on that award, and welcome. Somewhat similar to Anna's story, but a little different, is Rick, who has led efforts by his team at APMP to implement PIN, or Professional Intelligence Navigator for APMP. Now, Rick has been the executive director for APMP for 13 years and has grown that organization considerably over that period as well. So, Rick, also welcome, and thanks for being here, both of you. So let's get started.
Thanks.
I'd like to start off with just a few questions that I have here, and folks who are participating in the conversation today, feel welcome to enter your questions into the chat, and we'll make sure to share those questions and respond to them in appropriate timing. So let's start with Anna. Could you share just 3 to 5 minutes about MRAA and how you decided that you were going to start going into artificial intelligence here at this relatively early stage for associations?
Yeah, so we started looking into it in July. The marketing team at my association was just kind of playing around with ChatGPT, kind of how everybody did it, just messing around with it, honestly, just using it as jokes or whatever. But then started to actually use it in our work and seeing some really good stuff come of it. And then I attended the ASAE annual conference. Attended every single AI session I could. I met with some folks at BettyBot, who we've now partnered with them to make our closed AI model. So that's kind of when we started. I think that conference is in the end of July. I'm really bad at timing, but so since then we've been working with BettyBot and developed our Amy, and we launched her in December. So it was a quick turnaround. She's definitely not perfect yet, but I don't think there is a perfect AI model yet, and it's definitely still growing. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about how we started.
Very fun and interesting to hear how you refer to Amy using the pronoun her versus it for artificial intelligence. Rick, if you could tell a little bit about, like say, 3 to 5 minutes description of how you're using AI today for APMP.
Sure. APMP is the Association of Proposal Management Professionals, which is why we use the acronym APMP. One of the things that we did is we saw AI coming, and our industry is uniquely positioned to adopt this great new technology because our members produce proposals in response to RFPs, both by government and by commercial entities. And it's a time-consuming, laborious task that can be that AI can tap in, or we can tap into AI for the efficiencies. Sometimes some of our members are saying that the proposals are being produced in 30 to 50% less time, and this is the earliest of earliest stages. So as AI matures, we expect that number to get knocked down even more. We first came AI first came into our sphere, so to speak, when we were reading some articles in Harvard Business Review, or Business Review, Fast Company, and other news magazines, and we circled it as a potential for our association. Very similar to Anna, we threw ourselves into studying what we could offer. We also had this unique capability. One of our leading members is a company that just established a large language model. And through a partnership that APMP worked with this company called Rohirrim, we were able to do a deal to bring that large language model into APMP. As far as we know, we're the first association to have a large language model of this size. It's very robust, but it needs to be because of what the work that our members do. They're responding sometimes to RFPs that require proposals that are 200 to 1,000 pages. And AI has a unique ability to do this, like Anna too. And I knew I had seen you somewhere before, Anna. I went to every single AI session at ASAE, but I also went to the Consumer Electronics Show. I wanted to hear about AI from a consumer perspective, not only an association, but a consumer perspective, and just basically sat in the same room, in the same seat for about 2 days, back to back to back to back on AI. We learned a lot and were able to bring a lot of that into the design of PEN. PEN is also a her, but what we like to say is PEN is it's team member. And we position PEN as an executive team member. She'll help you find anything that you want. All you got to do is ask the question, and we can get into what the specifics are a little later. But in the earliest of days, and I believe Anna and Anna's organization and APMP are both in the early days of this. We couldn't be more pleased, and we have seen the power of AI already.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and seeing announcements from both your organizations about this is, like I say, inspiring to me to hear, like, okay, this is a real pragmatic way that artificial intelligence is being used in an association to create value. What's been the feedback you've received from members and any other stakeholders who are using your AI? Let's go with Anna first.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So Marine Retailers Association, our members are boat dealers, and primarily people become members for the education and certification. So we have so many resources, and I think all associations are like this, as I'm coming to find out. We have like courses, blogs, publications. I mean, when people become a member, they're like, oh yeah, you get like 260 courses. And it's like, okay, where do I start? Like, this is really aggressive. So our model and what we've heard from our members is that it makes their membership just easier to tap into and easier to use. A lot of times we come out with and promote courses and blogs and certain things that we think our dealers are, needing and going through, and we think that what their pain points are, but that's not all encompassing. And sometimes a dealer is going through succession planning, and sometimes a dealer is going through like total growth mode and like needs to hire a bunch of new people. So Amy gives them the ability to go in and ask the question that they need. It's more specific and tailored to them. And then it plugs them right into our learning management system, and they're able to either just get what they need from Amy or get a little bit of what they need and then dive deeper within a course or a blog or a guide or whatever it is that they prefer to do their learning. So that's been really nice to hear from dealers, that it's just making their membership easier. It's making their lives easier. They feel like it's basically ChatGPT, but the information is from marine industry trusted subject matter experts and not just from the whole World Wide Web. So that's pretty cool too.
And just picking up on what Anna said, Paul.
Rick, how about yourself? What feedback have you heard?
Picking up on what Anna said, it is really, it's the #1 membership benefit already this year. We just launched it just a couple of months ago, but it is zoomed to the #1 member benefit. APMP is a 14,000 international or 14,000 member international association. People, about half of the members are here in the US and half are all over the world. So it's really important for us to have something, have a robust model that not only looks as into APMP, but what we wanted was the large language model function, which gave us the capability of customizing all of the searches and making it specific for bid and proposal management professionals. Anna did that as well. Although it's not on a Chat GPT foundation, not at all. It's proprietary to APMP and certainly to our partner Rohirrim, which gives it its robustness. And I'll give you just an example. APMP created its own network of education. We call it APMP TV, and we have over 300 educational offerings on there with CEUs that people can go and tap into to keep up to date. We're a virtual association. We're 37 years old, and what we said is let's take advantage of this great technology and put it all in one place at one time. What we were not prepared for is when we launched it, how many people would actively embrace it. And I don't know why, because we saw all the Chat GPT numbers that in its first week, the numbers blew away the signups that the old America Online or any of the other sites with new technology at the time had, far surpassed it. So we had over 100,000 searches from our members in the first week alone. I don't know what we were expecting. It was not 100,000. And what we've gotten back is tremendous feedback. And I think what Anna said earlier is really important. It's not perfect, but what AI allows you to do, particularly on the large language model, is it teaches itself what the answers are. And the really weird thing, Paul and Anna, is that Penn is starting to develop a personality, and that's what you see in a large language model and what Anna has. It's starting to develop its own personality, ask us questions so it can learn more. And while it's not perfect now, I would put it at, I'd say 97% perfection. Our goal is to keep asking those questions so our professional intelligence navigator can become 100% effective. And it's easy to spot where the disconnects are and where they came from. But because they're searching our body, or because Penn is searching our body of knowledge, because she has access to APMP TV and all of the articles and the best practices that we offer, she's getting information that the association has already vetted, and that's saving our members a huge amount of time. The best part of it, though, and I know this is the same for Anna, it's free. There's no extra cost. We just came in and we said, hey, look, we've got a new member benefit for you. It's AI. We want to help you improve and become more efficient, give you back your evenings and give you back your weekends for free. And people have really resonated with that. Our members have resonated with that. And we're already seeing, as I said earlier, this could be the #1 benefit of APMP for years to come.
That's exciting to consider, given the variety of value that the organization offers to its members, and to think of this in such quick and short order has demonstrated the capacity to create value the way that it does. Like I said, very, very exciting. We have our first question in the chat here, which is a bit nuanced, asking if when a member asks a question of the AI functionality, are you able to then capture that? Does it record to that individual's record in your CMS, or how does that get captured, if at all?
I'll speak to mine, and then Anna can certainly answer. But
you have
no.
an example of that, Anna? Do you guys capture those inquiries?
Yes, we do. We actually just updated. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not perfect. When we first launched, we were just capturing the IP address, which obviously has no personal information except for the fact that we can maybe retarget them with digital ads. But now we're capturing their username on our site because ours is just a member only benefit, because the model is trained on member resources. So to protect the intellectual like autonomy of the SMEs, we have to just keep it in membership. So when somebody's using it, they have to be logged in. So that's how we're able to capture their username. But yeah, we get reports of it each week that I pull. So it doesn't really go automatically into our AMS, but I don't really think it needs to.
Rick, do you guys capture that for along with the, like say, the AMS, the CRM, or otherwise, or how
It's
do
a
you
great
use that?
question, Paul. We do capture, very similar to what Anna has. We capture the name and we keep that private. And one of the reasons we keep it private is we do business all over the world, and there are GDPR or privacy laws that are in Europe and other parts of the European Union that we must obey. So to do that, we do a blanket, and that's less important. What is important to us is the volume of questions and what the questions are, because that's making PEN much, much stronger. So what we monitor are the volume of questions. We look a little bit about who's asking the question, but we don't share that with anyone. It's private, and it's an arrangement that we have. If we were to put it into their CMS, although that could be looked at or viewed as private, we don't want to start a catalog because we think it would be thousands and thousands of entries over the next 4 or 5 years or so. So we don't do that. But part of that is there are international laws that say you have to really watch the information that you're collecting and you're distributing at one time, and we're mindful of that.
Yeah, same thing. I would say just
That makes a lot of sense.
that too. Like what's more important to us is definitely what our members are putting in there. And then if Amy is answering properly, and actually like we see that it's helping them answer their question or do what the member wanted them to do. So yeah, it's more about the inputs rather than who's putting it in there.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
What have your association and your members been able to do because of the change with this AI? So we talked a bit about, they're able to get answers more quickly. Is there, are there benefits that the association has experienced by extension yet, or how do you anticipate that supporting the association, both in staff and volunteer work?
I'll go first.
Right.
This is within staff or members, or just what our associate. Okay.
Either.
Yeah.
Where's the impact been felt, do you think?
I feel like the biggest impact for us is seeing what our members need. Like I said, seeing the reports of the inputs, that's huge for us. And then I'm able to analyze that data and send it off to our education team and say, hey, a lot of people are asking about these 3 certain, topics, and we have great resources on them, but maybe we need something fresh, or people keep asking about this certain thing and we don't really have a good answer for it. This is a gap in our resources for our members and what they're asking for and what they need. So our association is able to just better like represent and support our members, and just like we all want to say we know what our members need, but I'm not a boat dealer. Like I have no idea what they're going through, but this helps me kind of see a little bit into what some of them might be needing support on and needing our support on.
Yeah.
Couple of things that we've seen from a staff perspective, and then I'll talk about the membership perspective. Same thing that Anna does. We've now spun out 2 live events based on questions that we've received. So we've seen that there's an interest in 2 areas that we're going to move forward with and create live events for, because now we know that there's an interest and there's an audience. They just, these questions repeat over and over. So it's that data analyzation. All of a sudden, when you bring AI, whether it's a model like Anna has or her group has or APMP has, you are instantly become a data expert because you get instant data to mine. So that is one of the things. The other one is we're always on the lookout to how to attract new members. APMP prides itself every year. I think 12 out of the last 13 years, we have 10% membership growth. And it's because we actively go out and pursue new membership. And one of the things that we're looking at are personas. Who are our members, and to create personas? What we have found through our pen is pen can do the personas for us. It knocks down an incredible amount of time. So we just say, hey, help us create a persona on what a graphic artist person looks like in the bid and proposal space. And it just reels it off and then helps us create that persona. So those are ways that we've done it. But for the members, it's quite different. The members are looking at, many of our members use repeatable documents. They had a content library that you have to keep up to date. The difference is Penn keeps that up to date. They no longer have to struggle with making sure that every nuance is kept up to date, because Penn will pull it for them. If they had Penn in their own company, it would be even faster. But they're able to do that through the power of AI. Again, it was one of those things, that's one of the reasons we got into it. Can we eliminate the need, or at least lessen the need, to maintain content libraries and just have Penn do that for the industry? So that is the biggest thing, a biggest time saver right now. And then research. Now, the other one thing that I love that is an outshoot of this is our industry is super competitive. If one of our companies is going for a large RFP, a government RFP, you know that 6 or 7 other companies are. They find out who they are, and what they do is they call black hat reviews, black hat modeling. So they go out and they look at their competitors through Penn, through the AI, to see what their strengths and weaknesses are, print them out, and it just cuts the meeting in half. They know who the serious competitors are right away and the non-serious. So AI, this is just the very tip of the iceberg of what we think the power of AI can be. And one thing that I do want to say, Paul, is that everything that I have read says that AI will be ubiquitous sometime in 2024, and it will be normal in 2025 and beyond. So it's one of those things that if you're not on board with AI as an association professional, do so. Do what Anna and I did. Go find the places where you can find the information, whether it be from consulting firms like yours, whether it be from association trends, ASAE, CES. Go find it. It's not hard. It truly is not rocket science. It makes common sense. You have to know a few words in the nomenclature, but it is not difficult. The power that you're able to deliver your member at a low cost, and that's what I know we're going to talk about cost in a little while. That's the strength. Everybody thinks it's more expensive than it is. So take a look at what your blueprint or what your plan could be. And if you're not involved in AI, my advice would be start looking it up, start familiarizing yourself, and build an AI network where you can go and talk to others like me, like Anna, who have already established AI in their associations, and figure out how you do the same thing. It is so important to do. And members by 2025, won't be just looking for it, they'll be expecting it.
Yeah, and as you say, there's going to be just more and more venues where they're going to get that type of an experience. And then as the user experience elevates, members, prospective members, stakeholders bring that experience to their interface with the association and are going to wonder, why don't I get that same level of experience when I interface with your association? So that's exciting. When you came across the idea, or when you had the inspiration, we've got to move forward with this. I want to look into this, explore it, reach out to a company who can help us get this accomplished. You had to bring that to your leadership of your association. Did you tell me a little bit about how you brought that to leadership in your organization? Did you get immediate, like, oh, absolutely enthusiasm, let's do this? Or did you have, let's show me a little more data on this, and how can we go into this with a data-informed decision? Anna, you're nodding. Let's start with you.
Yeah. My experience was interesting with this. Our president was at ASAE with me, and he was like, let's go, this is awesome, all in. And our education team is a little bit more like apprehensive about new technology and digital transformation. So that I was so nervous. I just had a meeting with the education team. And actually I had our partners at BettyBot make me like a trial version of it, just so I could show them. And actually, instead of just explaining it like, oh, we're gonna have this like magical thing that's gonna solve all of our problems, like, no, like showing them what it can be and like what it is right now, and different ideas we can do with it, things like that. So it was definitely a slow process getting everybody on board, but once everybody saw the trial version of it and how it like continued to grow, they were all in. It was a lot more of just protecting our subject matter experts, I think. And that's what the education team was definitely worried about, which I totally understand because we have contractual obligations to these professionals. So, but like reaching out to them, reaching out to the subject matter experts was even fun too, because they were like, this is awesome, my content's going to be in an AI model, like that's so cool. So for the most part, I'm very lucky. I feel like nobody was really like scared or weird about it. Everybody was like, no, this is like where the world is moving, and like we've got to get on it or we'll just be irrelevant.
For our end, Paul, it was similar, but not quite so. My position as CEO usually gets a little bit more attention. So we had done the due diligence and the homework, and by the time it made its way to the board till it was accepted was about 2 weeks. So it was a very fast acceptance. It was just like Anna said, we decided to show, not tell. So we showed an example of the power of Penn and what it could be. We also started producing webinars on AI so that our members could get used to it. And we knew that that would start to influence it a little bit. But it was a very quick thing. And what we always pride ourselves on at APMP, we're not always the first to come out with things, but we wanted to be among the first. And we knew that. And so we wanted to be, this association prides itself on being early adopters of anything. And AI certainly was a great opportunity to do that. It's the pitfalls of it were just like Anna said, we have a family, a network of SMEs who must be protected. At first they thought, oh my gosh, all of my stuff may be going away and this computer's going to handle it. It's like, no. It's your stuff and you keep feeding to it and keep asking the question. And remember, she is a team member. She is something that you turn to and you can use to find out and pull together your information. So the earliest adopters we found were the SMEs because that we turned a negative into, I'm not so sure about this, I'm going to be replaced. The other thing too, from a member standpoint, think about this. All you do is gather information and write proposals all day. And there is a AI component here that's coming along, says, I can eventually help you write a proposal, a winning proposal. I can help you with your bid. I can research what you need to do. And people were thinking in our membership, am I going to be necessary in a year or 2 years or 3 years? Do I just phase myself out? I'll give you an example. When we first introduced this, it was a year ago at our annual conference. We first introduced it. We asked people by a show of hands, how many people have a fear of being replaced? And about half the audience said yes. We just had a conference over in Europe. This is almost a year later, maybe 10 months later, and we asked the same question. Nobody raised their hand. In that period of time, that 10 months, members went from being fearful of what AI could do, and in large part, it was our responsibility at APMP to help educate them that you're not going to be out of a job. You're going to only be out of a job if you don't know AI. So, you need to familiarize yourself. So we went from half of the audience believing they were going to be replaced to 0, and more people were more receptive of it. So the adoption has been swift. It's been positive. We have only heard one complaint on an answer that Penn gave that was slightly inaccurate, and we fixed that. Just one out of all of those incidents. So people have a lot of confidence. I'm sure with Anna's Betty Bot, it's the same thing. People, you'll have some responses that are incorrect, but they'll be so obvious based on what you know that you'll say, hey, look, there's a search there. And it usually is just the ones and the zeros not lining up behind the scenes to get you the right answer. So that's where we're going is we say, okay, well, we've got to fix that answer, get that part shored up. But what a positive experience. It's in my estimation, a necessary for all associations to get in, whether you're an early adopter, a mid adopter, or a late one. If you're a late comer, it's okay. Get started now, though.
Mm-hmm. And the material, all the material that you entered into it was material that you had ownership over, so there wasn't concern about accessing information that was copyrighted elsewhere, because it's not scouring the internet broadly. It's specifically looking into the information you loaded into it. Just want to make sure that's clear. Also, you both kind of had this sandbox model you could play around with and present as an example. Did you have to already enter into a contractual relationship in order to start playing around with that, or did the partner you worked with allow you to do some testing before buying, so to speak?
Yeah, my experience was the latter. Like we did some testing before buying, and actually it was our first call with Betty Bot, and they were like 15 minutes before the call, they were like, hey, are you okay if we just train our model on your public facing blogs? We can just run the model on your website and pull all the blogs, and then we can show you how it works based on that. And I was like, yeah, I don't care. Pull the blogs. Like, it's already public anyway. So that was really cool. That was before we got into a contract with them. That was the trial version that I showed to our team and that we showed to the board as well.
Okay.
Before we release, Paul, copious testing, you have to. You can't just release it and do the sign of the cross and hope it works out. So copious testing on it. What I think that Anna just showed is how unbelievably fast AI can assimilate information. Absolutely in lightning speed. 15 minutes before her meeting, it took her all her blogs and then was able to incorporate those into the answer. That's fast.
Oh, and we're content hoarders. So
yes.
There are blogs from 2005, and maybe even before then.
That's how fast it is. But you raise an interesting issue. The number one issue internationally is over intellectual property, IP. APMP has been very active the last 13 years in making sure that we secure our IP. Early on in the association, we had a lot of people saying, here's my work. And then when you want to share it, well, wait a minute, that's mine, that's IP. So we made a C-shift change. We said, look, we're going to own all of our own information as an industry. And if we have somebody write, an expert write for us, we're going to pay them to write and buy it from them. And we own the IP. A lot of associations have this struggle, but it doesn't raise its head anywhere more clearly than in the AI space, because what people are fearful of is, especially in external models like the basic chat GPT, where does the information come from? Who owns the information? Is it correct? And can you get sued by using it? Great case in point, doesn't have anything to do with associations. A lawyer just used a false case as precedent and was fired because ChatGPT just made it up and the law firm didn't vet it. So the other attorney quickly found out there's no precedent on the books that says this. Case was thrown out. The defendants won, and I think the lawyer had to step down. You can't trust it fully if you're going external. It's like how many of us have gone out on a chat GPT or Copilot and we have said, hey, here's my picture. And can you create a headshot or an office shot? And you come back and it's got 3 fingers or something like that. You got to refine it. Same thing with our searches. But what is important to Anna's association and to APMP is that it is contained information that we own. We're not going to use somebody else's information. We know we own it and we can stand behind that information.
Yep, couldn't agree more, for sure. And that's like the biggest difference, I think, between a closed AI model and something like ChatGPT. Like you can go to ChatGPT and ask, I don't know, just the most random questions. And there's actually a setting on that site that is the level in which ChatGPT gets creative with their answers. I can see how that lawyer lost their job. Like they went to ChatGPT. They're like, I need to save some time. I don't have time to do this, that, or the other thing. And then ChatGPT got creative and it wasn't right. You know, like that's just how those open AI models work. It's like Wikipedia. Do you really trust Wikipedia? Sure, sometimes. And sometimes it's good, but yeah.
It's a great analogy. It's Wikipedia and AI, although they come from different directions, are the same thing. Wikipedia is written by others who are quote unquote experts, but it's influenced by their opinion. ChatGPT in an external situation has one goal: to please the person who is entering the question. That's its one goal. So you don't know quite where it's pulling. However, when you go to Penn, when you go to Amy, you know where the information is coming from. And that's why our success rate in terms of our answers is so high. It's already vetted, owned information. So what we'd say is if you're going to go, hey, listen, I don't need to be a part of APMP for Penn. I'm just going to use ChatGPT. Use it at your own risk. Use it at your own peril. Penn is a great resource for an association that you get it at no cost. But if you go outside of that, you're using it at your own peril. And you know when you come into our association that your information is going to be full.
And just looking at some of the trust you've been able to already establish as your organizations have been growing, and using that as a basis for people engaging with this too, do folks seem to, in your experience so far, have a high degree of trust to the responses that they're getting? Do they look for validation from the staff or others in industry when they get something that they maybe didn't know or find surprising? Either Anna?
Yes. So not that they necessarily reach out to us if they don't get the answer that they're looking for. I think a lot of times they'll input something else again or follow up. Like, I actually was just looking at the report yesterday, but someone asked something about inventory management, and Amy gave them like 6 bullet points, and they were like, okay, number 3, and then followed up again. And something unique to Amy too, I don't know if Rick, your guys's AI model does this, but when she answers a question, she actually cites where she got that answer from. So she'll cite the reason, the guides or the courses that she pulled the information from. And I've actually seen a lot of people say like, oh, can you give me 3 courses for my service team? And then she'll give those 3 courses, and then they'll respond again and say, can you summarize course number 1 for me? So it's like they're just speeding up their learning time, basically.
It's the same, and the sourcing is the difference between internal AI and external. You're not going to get that externally. You're not going to know where the information came from. With us, you will. With Amy, you will. With Penn does it, Amy does it, and it is a must. You must know where this information is coming from, or can you really trust it? It's the difference between I'm going to go to a trusted colleague or I'm going to go out to Wikipedia. You must know where the information comes from before you do it. That's what an association is able to uniquely provide its members, is a level of trust, a level of, hey, I know these folks. I know they do great work. They've always helped me. They're helping me move through my profession, so I can trust the material. But we don't just say it, we show it. And we show it by sourcing it. And when you have something sourced, then if you really want to go prove it, you go drill down into the source, and it always matches. That's the power of AI.
So our attendees are probably wondering, what are the obstacles you ran into here along the way? Are there pitfalls that they can avoid if they're starting off today? Things you would have done differently? Anna, you
I
nodded
feel like,
enthusiastic.
yeah, what I've done, I wish I would have done it sooner. I feel like we're already like the whole time, even when we were doing it, I was like, are we too late? Like, no, you're not too late. Even now, starting something, you're not too late. It's never too late to start it. But yeah, that's just something I wish I would have started on the sooner. And like, yeah, because it's just not, it's like I said, it's not perfect. We're still working on it every day. We're still training her every day. But it's still good. I'm just a perfectionist.
Yep.
I would have done it a lot sooner, no doubt about it. I wish we would have done it when we first read the article in Harvard Business Review and all of the other business magazines 2.5, 3 years ago. I don't know that the technology would have been ready, but I wish we would have started then. We are early adopters. We're proud of that, but I wish it would have been sooner. We could be so much farther down the road. If you haven't started and you want to, you shouldn't be shamed by going, well, we don't have this. Start now. You can put together a program, a product, a member offering, relatively easy without breaking your bank. What you'll see is your board will absolutely do backflips. They get excited because every board person wants to come in and make a difference. And this is a difference maker. It's a difference maker, kind of like personal computers were back in the day. You know, I remember, and you can tell I'm a little old enough to remember this. I resisted switching to a personal computer because I was so good at typing. And was like, why do I need that? And then I switched over and I went, oh, okay, I get it. And then the typewriter was on a shelf collecting dust from forevermore. It's early adoption is really important in this, or any adoption is important. What would we do differently? We would have started sooner. The other thing is I would have gotten the finances of it nailed down a lot sooner, a lot sooner. Now we're different in that we have a partner, and a lot of those expenses are contributed and donated by our partner, Rohirrim AI. So we weren't carrying that expense. They're a member of our association, and they wanted to make sure that we had a PIN and had it for our members. And that came out of one conversation. Hey, what are you all doing? They told us. We thought had read the articles, and then we sat down and said, how do we work together on this? But I wish I would have assembled the costs, the cost impact, the ROI a lot sooner, because the story that we're being able to release now is pretty fantastic. But I feel like we're having to catch up with that thing. The other part I would have done is I would have brought most of our staff in earlier. Instead, we brought in departments that could help us. People, 4 or 5 people who were senior leaders who would then go back to their department and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Here's how we're going. What I wish I would have done is had everybody at the table first off early on. And the other thing, if I was going to give a piece of advice for folks who are looking at creating an AI program, one is to do a little bit of light research. You're certainly welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Anna would be able to help you as well. And it's what we do in the association community. We help each other. Reach out and find out. But the thing that I would do is to make sure that you are fully informed before you launch, because you'll get a lot of questions from your members about what it is. It's a little scary at first. It's the whole AI thing. There's been some negative press on AI, but usually that's the open AI. That's the difference. So I wish we'd have done a little more education on closed AI versus open AI. The really negative stories that you read are on the open AI. Final thing I would say is we all know ChatGPT. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of AI products out there right now that we're incorporating into PIN, that we're using, looking at the benefits they offer, and how do we incorporate that into PIN? But it's no longer just ChatGPT. I mean, all of the search engines now have one. Bard with Google, Copilot with Microsoft. And then the myriad of products that AI products that only handle a specific thing, resume writing, art programs, et cetera. We're now, and I've asked our department, our marketing department, to look and particularly with the quality of the artwork that's available. And it's like, why are we using stock footage anymore when we can just go in and create our own artwork and it looks brand new and real? So, those are the kinds of things that I wish I would have thought about earlier, but there's always time, right? We have plenty of time because we're at the earliest edge.
Yeah. A couple questions from our chat relate to staff time and whether this is safe staff time, and what is the staff time required to maintain this, keep this cutting edge for the members?
Yeah. I mean, definitely just
Anna, you look like you're
using AI definitely saves me time. I work in marketing, so like Rick was mentioning about the artwork and things like that, like that's instead of using stock images, that's something that me and my graphic designer have been looking at and doing and trying at least. Even tools like Photoshop have it too. So AI definitely saves all of us a lot of time. I'm an okay copywriter. I am fine at writing, but ChatGPT makes me a great copywriter. So that's a big difference. And it also saves time when I have writer's block, because I'm just an okay copywriter. I'm not gonna just know what to say every time. Other than that, or on the flip side of that, with just like the time it spent with getting going with this closed AI model, our organization is super organized with our resources and all of our education materials that we have. So it was really, really easy for us, which we're lucky that we're so organized, but it was really easy for us to just pull the course transcripts, pull the guides, pull all of the PDFs. I mean, it took BettyBot themselves 15 minutes. And then we just gave them everything else for our model. And as far as upkeep goes, I really just look at the metrics and the, reports that are pulled and what people are asking and things like that. So it's definitely just like a few hours a week. Honestly, and that might even be generous. I still do a lot of testing within it, especially if I'm inputting new resources and stuff like that. So just making sure it's all still relevant and our model isn't pulling something from 2005 because that's not what we want.
Two
Right.
things I can build on: the
Rick,
upkeep.
how about your team?
Yeah, just the same thing that Anna said. I'm going to start with the upkeep. It's almost zero because you're feeding your own content anyway into your website, which that's what Penn and that's what Amy will feed off of. BettyBot will feed off of is the information that's there. So you're just doing your regular job. The only thing is just the analyzation of the questions. That's where the magic occurs. That's what you do anyway in a marketing function. If you had a letter from someone, if you have emails that come in, you would be analyzing that. I think the one thing that Anna brought up too about how to use it, it's the draft. We have in our industry, everybody hears of a first draft, but we have even a draft ahead of that. Forgive the nomenclature, but we call it a vomit draft. Just get it down on paper. And what happens in our industry is that the pen gives you a really great first draft. No more vomit draft, first draft. It's there. And then you come along, meaning the worker, the member, the staff person comes along and edits and cleans up. Huge savings of time. It's hard to come up with it. Just enter it in. Hey, can you help me out with an executive summary on this program? Puts it in, you go, oh, I like this, don't like that. I'm going to move this around. And you're editing, you're in edit mode instead of writing mode immediately. So that's something that is really great. So no, there's not a big staff involvement. The only staff involvement you have is when you create it and deciding what you want and get your key stakeholders bought in. Make sure your board passes. And if you have a partner, we both have partners. Ours is Rohirrim, Anna's is BettyBot. And make sure you and your partners are being good partners to one another. That would be like any partnership or any program that you have. So there's been nothing laborious. Now, to that end, I want to say this. We're not doing the heavy lifting. The folks at BettyBot did the heavy lifting. The folks at Rohirrim did the heavy lifting. But what we are is we're in utilization mode. So I appreciate that question. It won't tear up your month. It's hardly anything. You just are analyzing what people are putting in. So you're in tune with that. That's what you used to do with phone calls and emails.
Right. A big question, of course, is around cost. People want to get a sense are we looking at a couple $1,000s or looking at tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for this? And I know you each have a different story to tell on that. Anna, do you want to say a little bit about yours and then Rick, yours?
Yeah, so again, we were really lucky with BettyBot and we got in with them like towards the start. I think we were one of the first 5 associations that launched their AI model. So we definitely got a different price than what they've got going on right now. And that's just because we were early. I really don't think it's too expensive at all, especially for the return on investment. Like I know that we've gotten the special early adopter price or whatever, but we've already seen boatloads of return on investment, and it's, yeah, like our membership has grown because of it. We're getting new leads. It's definitely worth every single penny and much more.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Marine retailers got boatloads of ROI. I see what you did there.
I would agree with that. It is worth, ours is different. Ours is because we happen to have a member who is an expert at this, Rohirrim. We were able to do a deal. We were prepared to spend upwards of $100,000 on this. We didn't spend anything because of our partnership. Now we have some ancillary expenses that come where there's a there's a hosting fee. So at the end of the day, it'll end up being about $30,000 a year for APMP. So worth it. So worth it. Think about your association and where you're directing dollars right now. We all run like little mini governments, little mini city centers, where we have the membership dues and the revenue come in, and we decide where it goes out. We said we would put about this much into it because we believed in it. We had done some research, but again, we were able to do a deal. So we got a great, we got the sweetheart deal because of an internal member, but there are some costs that are associated with it. Here's what I want everybody to know, and it's really important. I didn't know until I spoke with Anna what the cost was, what they paid for BettyBot, which I thought was incredibly reasonable. This is not out of touch for associations, and I don't care how small you are. APMP is a $4.6 million organization. It's not a huge organization. If we were a $10, $20 million organization, I wouldn't even have thought about it. I would have just absolutely said yes from the beginning. But even if you're $1 million, a $2 million organization, do it, because it'll turn you into a bigger, better association more quickly than we were able to do. We've seen market growth just on the release of PEN, because people are coming in and they're hearing about how they can save time, how they can save money, improve efficiencies, and improve accuracy. That's the selling point right there. I don't care if you're the marine boat people or you're the bid and proposal management people. Everybody wants their weekend back and everybody wants their nights back. So we are able to provide that, and that's a selling point for us.
Awesome. We're just like that. We're at time. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate the insights from both of you, and congratulations on both of you for being at the leading edge of this and the value you're creating for your members and your profession. For those who are tuning in, if you found value in this, please consider sharing it with your peers and colleagues. We love to have more people learn from the association's trends talks that we share, and appreciate you tuning in here today. That wraps it up for us. Thank you very much again for being part of this.
Thank you, Paul. We are huge fans of Association Trends, and we applaud them for having this terrific webinar.
Yeah, thank you guys.